Fear isn't a bad thing, and it also pushes you out of your comfort zone. And knowing that there's some pieces help you make sense different between so much that happens and happens. Once upon a time, I was yapping. From how to never run out of ideas as an artist to conquering your fear, telling you how to avoid art block and build discipline. I realized how I lost myself in talk these past few months and never actually showed you how I make my drawings, the process I go through in the week where I don't make any videos. So I decided to pick up the pen in front of the camera again and show you what it's like for me to make art. For me, everything begins with life itself. It's like having a pond in your garden with an infinite amount of ideas. Despite probably everybody else having found a rhythm that repeats itself all the time, I happen to have what I would say quite the exciting time from an emotional standpoint. No matter what I do, there's always something going on. Whether it's outbursts of anger, exhaustion, sadness, or something less melancholic and somewhat more of a relief. It's like you're on a roller coaster that moves on the same track all the time. Except for the fact the railroad is a rainbow and you're on psychedelics. So last week I had some stuff going on that messed with me heavy. Something I just resolved yesterday, and it wasn't actually as much of a big deal as I made it out to be in my head. I'm the type of person that can handle tough situations quite well, but whenever it's something simple, an event, action, or incident, it doesn't really matter. It can make me overthink to the point of insanity, which was the case recently. But anyways, because it's resolved now, I don't really gravitate towards something sad or chaotic like I usually do, but more as to something that represents the silence or aftermath of a storm. Having found and deciding on something, this is where the experiencing stops and the planning and drawing begins. I focus on this one feeling I have and try to convey it into an image. This is where my brain goes into overdrive and I think about lighting, poses, colors, all at the same time while keeping that idea in the back of my head. My last couple of drawings were all close-ups where I focused on this gritty, dark atmosphere, which is why this time I kind of want to challenge myself a little again and go towards something more full body. So yeah, let's get to it. I used yesterday evening to think about the drawing because towards the night, people tend to get more vulnerable. I like to take multiple references until I get an image that looks both good in my head for the drawing and on the photo. Finally, I decided on this one, and I think I actually already got a name for the drawing. If you're familiar with me and my work, you know that I love art with an abstract touch. This is one of my favorite parts about my drawings because how does something like this become something like that? To answer that question, we first have to replicate the pose of the reference I just made. Build a foundation you can experiment with. It took me over an hour to finally come up with a reference, but I think it was worth it. Alright, I got the base down, and this is where the experimenting and fixing starts. I adjust proportions, anatomy, and redesign some segments, but at the same time keep a sense of simplicity. Alright, it's 6 PM, I just finished the sketch. Usually I leave it a lot rougher than it is right now, but I just wanted to make sure that I don't have too much work during the rendering. Because if you haven't noticed, I'm exhausted, both physically and mentally. It's time to decide on a color palette and a potential background design, and for that I take out my favorite art book of all time made by my favorite artist of all time and start searching for anything that inspires me. If you look at any of my past drawings, you'll be able to trace some aspects of them back to certain drawings of Sui Ishida. So since it's so goddamn late, and I've been pretty much working since 7 AM, let's change the sound to something more chill. During this workflow, I try to switch my brain off in a sense of block things like doubt, fear, criticism, and simply go with the flow and trust the process. So now that I had a bit of a calmer start into the day, I can go over this drawing in a more peaceful manner. I couldn't really decide on any colors yesterday. Hell, I struggled with pretty much everything, which is why I'm currently left with this monotone draft. So while I let myself sink into the flow of drawing, I want to explain why I went for this pose and what it means. Specifically the hands covering the eyes. Basically, it's embarrassment or disappointment, but not in the sense of other people, but more so of myself. Like this past week, I've been so miserable, and usually my go-to phrase is tomorrow morning everything will be better, like I'll sleep over it and everything will be fine. And usually that works, but this time it's just too much too fast. I'm usually so good at keeping my composure, but this time I just don't understand why I feel the way I feel. So I'd rather just shut my eyes to the world and try to resolve whatever is causing that damage inside of me. I'm not really sure about the background and overall design of this drawing, so I want to focus on the values first and just let everything slowly unfold. I come up with a lot of things usually during the process, so should I hit a wall, I'll just search for more inspiration. Also, another thing I like to do quite often is make a small backup of my current progress, copy paste it, and then a couple of hours later do the same so I can compare how much the drawing has already improved. So from here on out, it's pretty much just experimenting whilst also progressing with the rendering. I also apologize if the video is a bit scattered. It's been a while since I made this type of video, and also this is the first time in my life where drawing doesn't help. Bro, I'm so done with life, god damn. I unfortunately had to stop early today. I just couldn't get myself to work, not even by brute forcing it. So I just set it aside and just let it breathe for a fat minute. But I liked the touch I gave with the blue butterflies, and I think this drawing is evolving into something really beautiful. But until then, I'ma go and play some Baldur's Gate. Hey, I got the list you at. What's up? What are you doing?
Nothing.
Then why did you just switch off your monitor?
I didn't.
Get away from the table.
Yeah. We both know you would never do that. You had to sell your kidney for that book. Only mine's left.
You're right, I wouldn't. Can you just show me? I'm curious.
Man, you're really not cut out for this. I mean, you didn't even try.
Stop all this. No. How?
What do you mean, how?
Brother, how should I put this? What the f are you doing?
Jimmy, stop looking at me like I murdered your cat. I'm not made of stone. I got bad days too. What the f do I look like to you, Mr. Incredible?
Yes!
Well, I've been miserable, okay? But enough about that. What the f are you doing here anyways?
What? You told me to come and bring you my list of questions.
Well, then how about you stop yapping so much and ask away?
But I just... Whatever, man. Look. So, you know how you always talk about expressing yourself as an artist? Like, and how it's the most important thing about your art? Well, my question is, how the do you get better as an artist if all you do is cry about your feelings?
Balance, Jimmy. Something you, by the way, have very little of. Look. Use expression to make you sit down and draw, and then apply whatever it is you want to study after.
Fair enough. So, what do I do if I don't feel nothing at all? You know, going absolutely numb.
I think touching some grass might help.
What the is that supposed to mean?
Man, I just want to play Baldur's Gate. Look, life gets pretty stale if you stay in your comfort zone for too long. Now imagine a life where you just stay at home, no pressure, no fear. If you drink that, I will kill you. Anyways, you're trying to be the sad, melancholic artist yet you have no experience to draw from. Living life is part of your job as an artist and frankly, as a human being. So go out there and do something.
But what?
We went to one convention, one trip, with 3 people. And the things that got jump-started from that are damn near infinite.
That's true.
Right, so are we done?
Hold up, I got one more. How do you pick a good reference picture?
Jimmy, what the f***?
What? You always talk about picking good references, yet you never tell anybody what the difference between a good one and a bad one is.
You want me to maybe hold your hand while drawing too? We'd be like Jack and Rose from the Titanic, without the iceberg, of course.
I'm serious, man. Sometimes I be drawing, and even if I do a good job at replicating the references, it just doesn't look good, man.
Okay, look, first of all, lighting. Values are damn near everything, and the only thing I'd probably place higher than that would be composition. Look if the reference reads clearly, because just like bad drawings, there are also bad photos. And stop touching my stuff. Search for things that look off in the grand scheme of things. You know, maybe the hand looks part of the leg because of bad lighting or something. I don't know. It happens and will most definitely affect your drawing. Look, let me show you an example. Give me a second, let me find... there it is. Okay, see this picture? It looks good at first glance, but if you focus a little bit more on the eyes, you'll notice how the lighting makes it look a little bit weird.
That's interesting.
I know, right? Now get the out. One more thing. What?
Well, since you already stopped playing Baldur's Gate, you're probably gonna start working now, you know? So, I thought, it's just an idea. Can I play? Alright, I have a few more words to say, and in the meanwhile, I'm going to try and figure out how to proceed with this drawing. I want to specifically talk about being afraid of taking a step back or taking a break in general. If you're on social media, you might have heard that you have to draw every day to get good at art. And quite frankly, that is just not true. Consistency is good and important, but what it really comes down to is the way you practice art itself. Sometimes taking a day or half a day off can make you come back to the painting feeling refreshed rather than running on fumes. Yesterday, for instance, I drew for around 3 hours, which is very little compared to how I usually go at it, but I just wasn't there mentally or physically, and I think if I would have pushed myself beyond my limits, it would have just ended up in poor decision making. Today, for instance, I felt much better, and the process was more joyful rather than a burden. So don't pressure yourself and just go with the flow at your own pace. Also, this doesn't necessarily tie down to a single day. It could be a week, for instance. As mentioned earlier, living life is part of your job, so don't take it for granted. The more you experience as a person, the more possibilities you'll have to nourish your artistic growth. Now, unfortunately, this also means that I won't be able to finish this drawing in time, so if you want to see the final result, make sure to check out my other socials. Anyways, I think I've had enough for this week. It's been quite a ride. I'm feeling a lot better compared to a few days ago. Like, I literally didn't want to make any shots. I was so miserable and I just didn't want to do anything. Not even play Baldur's Gate. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Truly, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.
Whoa!